It's a new year, y'all. And for me, I've never been one to do resolutions. I do solutions. And for the past almost 2 years, I've been drinking AG1 every single day, thanks to my brother, Dr. Andrew Huberman, who turned me on to this incredible product. Every day, every morning, no exceptions. Just one scoop and a glass of water. They also make packs that you can travel with. That's been very, very helpful for me as a active touring person. Having these packets with me all around the world has been really, really helpful. So if you're a musician or somebody that is always on the go, the travel packs are incredible. AG1 delivers my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, and pre and probiotics. It's very powerful, it's very healthy, and it's really simple, man. Healthy aging shouldn't feel complicated. The thought of taking multiple supplements and all these types of vitamins and stuff and powders, it's truly exhausting for me. I've never been one to take a lot of multivitamins anyway throughout my whole life. I always prided myself in just eating vegetables and eating all the stuff I need naturally, not in a pill form. So this is incredible. It covers my nutrient gaps. It supports my mental and physical health. AG1 is hassle-free, 60 seconds every morning. It's the high-quality ingredients of pre and probiotics, adaptogens and antioxidants, and whole food sourced nutrients. I drink it every single day. Every batch of AG1s goes through rigorous testing processes, and their ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrient density. If there's one product I can suggest you guys, is the AG1s, man. This has been a life changer for me. So go to ag1.com/OLLC and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. With AG1, I know I'm getting essential brain, gut, and immune health support, vitamins, probiotics, and nutrients for the day, and it's helped my mental and physical. So if there's one thing I can recommend to you guys, it's AG1s. It's my nutritional insurance. I pride myself as almost being 54 years old, not going to the doctor all the time. Knock on wood. I've been healthy my whole life and try to strive to be a healthy person, stay young, stay full of energy, and still do the things I love that I did as a kid. That's why I still skateboard, play music, exercise. So start the year off right. AG1, ag1.com/OLLC. Yo, Liquid Death, thank you so much for hydrating all my guests, taking care of me and my family and my friends. Love your water, love your brand, love what you stand for, love what you give back to the community. If you want to learn more about Liquid Death and how it started, listen to episode 115 with the co-founder, owner, and creator of Liquid Death, Mike Cesario. Just a punk rock skateboarding kid from Delaware with a dream. It's an incredible story, incredible journey. So if you go liquiddeath.com/Toby, you get free shipping on any items you order from liquiddeath.com. If you want to just get Liquid Death water, go to amazon.com. But for the merchandise and other cool items, exclusive items, go to liquiddeath.com/Toby and get free shipping. Thank you so much, Liquid Death. Death to plastic, murder your thirst. Stay hydrated. You know H2O saves lives. Press this. Check. Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. I got my brother from another mother, Mr. Derek Green, next to me.
What's up?
Shout out to Zoo's Bikes. They sent me a bike, and you helped me put it together right now before the pod.
I'm assembling, but there's a few things I'd like to say. It's a beautiful bike. Very beautiful, and it's quite an experience to be assembling a zoo bike. We will see how the operation goes and document
you're
our findings.
You're electric bike connoisseur kind of now, in a sense.
Absolutely, and I definitely have seen the game changed in the last few years, so I'm very excited. This is a very interesting company.
Plus, we have no cars and we don't drive.
Exactly.
So it works perfect for us. And then my guests, it's interesting. I've been talking about this a lot lately. When you know somebody by like their band, like Derek Sepultura or Freddie Madball or something like that. Mm-hmm. I know him as Josh Ship, but his name's Josh Loucka. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's awesome. This is like your first real podcast, right?
That's true.
I'm very honored to have you here. How are you, man?
I'm good.
How's life?
Pretty good. Got just busy raising kids.
Yeah.
Making music for different kinds of things than I used to. Films and commercials and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
How do you guys know each other?
New York, man.
Let's bring it back.
Did you ever meet him back in the day, Shifting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We played a show together, actually, with
Outface.
yeah,
Ooh.
and actually Overfiend. It was we played in I think it was Staten Island or something.
Oh, that's
Staten Island.
okay. That's who we. Okay.
Yeah, it was
I was gonna say. I thought Outface played, but yeah, it must have been.
Yeah, but it was
After that.
Charlie from Outface.
Okay.
What's up with these O bands?
I don't know, but it
Interesting.
just seemed to work pretty well over Fiend.
Did
The
Sick of
legend.
It All play that show?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yes,
what I thought.
Exactly.
So that was Staten Island at a show? Wow. I think we played there once, Staten Island, maybe. There wasn't many shows in Staten Island.
No, not
Didn't
many
seem
at
like.
all.
Yeah, I don't know how we got. It's like somehow we got asked to play.
Yeah.
I
Open
remember
for Sick
Under
of It
Acme
All.
was the spot you guys would play a lot. Remember?
That's where we kind of at the beginning. That
Yeah.
was like we just found that place. I don't even remember how we got into that place.
Right.
We played together for sure back then.
Yeah, I think. I mean, maybe CB's. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Are you originally from New York?
I grew up. East Village, 10th Street and 3rd Avenue.
Wow, nice.
Damn, not many people are actually born in New York and live in the city like that.
Yeah.
There's not many.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
So you grew up. That's where you grew up
nice.
in Manhattan like that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
10th and 3rd.
What year did you graduate? High school.
I graduated in 93.
Wow.
Okay.
So yeah, I was born in 75.
All right.
And how was that? How was it growing up in the city?
Yeah. In
I
Manhattan.
mean, I don't know. People ask me that. I'm always like, well, I don't really have anything to compare it to except your life, But
No, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, looking back, I used to, just hang out on the streets and walk home from school. Starting like 3rd grade, just walking to and from school. And
It's cool.
now having kids, I'm like, I mean, my daughter's 7. Thinking about her walking around New York City in 1 year, I'm like, that's crazy. But all the kids were
You've
doing
seen
it.
the changes through the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
It's
that
crazy.
Yeah.
my neighborhood, that 10th and 3rd was like, there used to be right on the corner there always be a lot of hookers on the corner. I don't know if you're supposed to call them that anymore, but
Well, back
sex
then, that's
workers,
fine.
yeah.
Okay.
And now it's like a NYU dorm right there. I mean, it's
Right.
super,
Damn.
That's crazy.
So you lived there most of your whole life. You never left Manhattan until you came here, or you always were there?
Yeah, I
Wow.
lived there, and then my parents got divorced when I was 4. My dad moved to Princeton Lafayette, sort of Little Italy, Soho,
Yeah.
and then
Used to work there on
Yep,
Prince
that
Street.
was our
Yeah.
street that we worked on.
yeah, yeah.
Prince.
Fat Farm and Nana.
right.
Damn.
And then later I moved. My dad had subletted that place on Princeton Lafayette, and then I moved into that apartment by myself when I was 20 or something. So I lived
Nice.
there.
Wow.
That's where I lived. That's where I lived until I moved here. I mean, it was a tiny studio,
Okay.
I'm sure.
Right.
and he'd had it rent controlled for.
Beautiful.
20 something years. So it was like they wouldn't fix anything. It was like it's like one of those, but it was still, it was still a great location.
Yeah.
It
It's
was-
an amazing location.
Wow. So were you going to shows when you were in school too? Did you start going to shows? And
Yeah, I started going to hardcore shows in high school. Before that, I was into metal mostly. I got into metal pretty young, like 3rd grade. I remember I saw the Def Leppard Foolin' video when I was about 8, and it just like I was like, oh, like it's like the whole universe opened up. Like this is this is what I'm gonna do when I grow up. Like I want to be that, and that led to all the Ozzy and Judas Priest and Van Halen and everything, and then heavier stuff and Metallica and all the thrash bands.
Yeah.
And then the thrash bands started. I remember some of the magazines that would cover those bands would start mentioning Leeway, Cro-Mags. There'd be an ad for Bad Brains, or something like Quickness, and I'd be like, "Oh, who are these bands?" And then I remember hearing Leeway and being like, "Oh, this is like a whole nother level of realness," more than
And they had a little that metal edge to
The
it.
crossover.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that's why I was able to cross over there. It was
Right.
like it made sense to me.
Right.
And then that led me to the other, Sick of It All and Rest in Pieces, and that was like the first more straight hardcore bands I started getting into.
So you're going to shows young, probably.
Yeah, I think I started going. I think the first show I was 14. I went to the Ritz. I can't remember if it was a Super Bowl of hardcore or if it was a. There was also that In Effect
Yeah.
show.
So it was Sick of It All, Nazi Front.
Yeah,
For the
I think that
Biscuits.
was the one. That was the first hardcore show I went to.
That was it's 91. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that probably was.
Were you playing any instruments in high school or?
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was maybe 9 or 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then, and then started a band in first year of high school.
First year
That
high
was
school.
shift. That was shift. you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Holy shit.
yeah, we started freshman year. I met Brandon, a kid, the drummer, original drummer, knew somebody who knew a bass player. We're like, we need a bass player, and I met Brandon, and he liked the same bands I did, and we hit it off. And then
Where was he from? Was he from the city?
yeah, he grew up right, on like 23rd Street. He went to Stuyvesant.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, we started jamming together, and then pretty soon after that, our drummer had to go away with his family, and my girlfriend at the time recommended a drummer she knew.
Yeah.
This girl from her high school, and it was Samantha, and we played together, and it clicked. We did a show, and it went over really well. And then when the other drummer got back, we were like, sorry, dude, we got a new drummer.
Where is he now?
I don't know. I think I'm actually not sure. I talk to him every once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you did.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's
And where
still
was Sam
in-
from? Was she from?
She's from Queens.
Okay, Queens.
Yeah,
Queens.
like
Story of Queens. No.
I think she's from Woodside.
Woodside,
area,
Queens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which side?
Was she already going to shows and stuff like that too? Was she?
She didn't know anything about hardcore.
Okay.
We had to show her, these are the bands we're trying to sound like, and, do something like this,
Who came up with the name Shift?
That's a good question.
Oh.
It might have been Brandon. I can't remember, to be honest. Yeah, I think we played a couple talent shows.
Wow.
The first name we had was the Damn Monkeys.
Oh,
It's like,
Damned
I don't know.
monkeys.
It's another thing that sound a little sketchy now. I don't know what but
Sounds
it's a
very
weird name.
apocalyptic,
Yeah,
these monkeys are damned for life.
but that was like 14-year-olds kind of coming
yeah,
up with
yeah.
a silly
I like
name.
14-year-old imagination.
Yeah. And then I don't remember where we got Shift from, but
She played some
Just
talent
stuck.
shows too.
that's how the first few shows were talent
cool.
shows at my high school.
And how'd that go?
It went pretty well because we'd be like the only real band, we
Yeah.
actually rehearsed. The other
Were
things.
people like, "Are you playing covers? Play."
I think they were just like stunned. We were.
Oh, wow,
I mean,
okay.
we had such a weird mixture of stuff we were doing. It was, I think the talent show we did did a Jimi Hendrix song.
Nice.
Okay, you were doing covers.
But then we did a Biohazard song.
What?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
Biohazard song?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Because that was another
What
one of
song
those.
by Biohazard? You remember?
Something from that first album.
First album's a
I
banger,
can't
though,
remember.
man.
That's excellent. I'm sure people are
Crust.
like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah. Yeah, really. I
Shift
haven't.
doing Shades of
Remember
Grey.
what Hendrix song?
Oh man, you're asking. These are some deep memories. I can't.
Is there
It's not
video?
coming
Is
to
there
me.
footage of it or not?
Sure it's
There's
video
probably a VHS
Sick.
deteriorating in a storage room somewhere, like in my dad's storage space. But I just remembered as I'm telling the story that at that talent show, they got a band that were graduates of the high school called 32 Tribes,
Oh yeah, I remember
which
that.
had
yeah.
the drummer was Sammy.
That's
And
right.
we-
Sammy Siegel.
So that was like, I was like, wait, that's Sammy from Gorilla Biscuits. Like, like that was like my first contact with real hardcore band people, So I remember talking to him, and then I can't remember how we,
We grew up in Manhattan too. That's right, Sammy. Yeah.
yeah. And
Wow,
then,
32 Tribes came back to play at the school.
yeah.
That's a.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Who sang in that band? I remember that
What
band,
was
dude.
his name? Fuck.
Damn. I remember 32 Tribes.
Yeah.
Sammy has been on here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's been so many amazing bands though. It's
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
dude.
So that's
That was like your connection to
great
meeting somebody.
connection.
Yeah.
And then we got one of the shows we did was an Amnesty International like talent show, benefit show.
Rory Krevlon.
And then that's how we met Rory
Yep.
Krevlin, who booked the marquee. So then she let us do a Amnesty International benefit at the marquee with just us and some of our friends' bands.
Nice.
But we got, between my school and Brandon's school and our other friends, we got a good number of people to show up, even though we weren't a good band yet. We were just like kind of like, a friends band. And then that kind of kicked things off with Rory, where she was like, oh, you can actually draw, 75 kids to a show.
Yeah.
And then she started helping us get on shows. And not long after that, we got on a couple shows with Burn,
Okay.
which was sort of like that. I think those were the first like real shows we played, you know.
That's awesome. What year would that be?
So that probably would have been, it must have been 93.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because we made a demo. We recorded a demo, and then once we had that, then it just was easier to start getting shows. We put that in under the, at Bleecker Bob's, sell the demos there, and then they were like, oh yeah, lots of kids are buying these, because we were just, our friends would go there and buy them, and then, it just like very slowly started the ball rolling of like turning into a real band, you know.
And what were influences at that point?
I mean, I'd always liked all kinds of stuff, and then, but the hardcore wise, it was definitely the bands that kind of Quicksand, Burn, Super Touch, like the ones that had like a more of a melodic edge, and maybe a little more of a, just coming at it from a different angle, like I always thought Gavin would use like such interesting chords, like a lot of the hardcore bands were just, just all power chords, and he would be busting out some weird stuff, and that was one. Then of course Quicksand was just, I mean, that's who people always said we sounded like, especially at the beginning, I think a lot of that's just because my voice kind of sounded like Walter's, and I guess also because we liked them, so we probably were, sort of ripping them off, and then
you got to play some shows with Quicksand.
Yeah, a little later, once we started, I think after, we signed to Equal Vision.
Shout out to Steve Reddy, man. He was just at my house last week. I love Steve Reddy.
Yeah, good dude. I haven't seen him in a long time, but really, really good people.
He's like
Steve
Benjamin Buttons. He's like aging in reverse.
Yeah.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, Steve and Kate, great people, and they signed us, and then obviously that got the ball rolling even more.
They were like on 20-something Street at that time, right? Equal Vision?
I think 21st Street.
Yeah,
they
had a warehouse up there.
Or 24th. I forget.
Where did you record at?
Well, the EP for Equal Vision, Pathos, we did at Don Fury's.
Yeah. Gotta do it there, dude.
Gotta do it at Don Fury's.
And that was another thing where we're just like, it's fucking Don Fury.
It's Don
like,
Fury's, yeah.
He recorded all
it's
these
like
records.
Legendary Don Fury's.
Just part of the whole
basement.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just down in open the metal gate down to the basement, like.
And he's such a character.
Yeah.
Dude.
I love Don, man. He was such a trip, man. It's like hilarious.
I just saw he popped up somewhere. He might be on like the Hardcore Chronicles. They found him somewhere, or where he's at.
No way.
Yeah,
really?
he's upstate or something. Don't quote me on that, but I saw he's coming on, because nobody's really talked to him in a long time, probably.
Yeah, I haven't seen him.
So legendary. Every single thing he did, bro.
Yeah, I mean all the big hardcore records, pretty much for a stretch. There, we're done there.
Mm-hmm. So that was like in '94, right?
Yep. So Pathos came out in '94.
Did you build like were you playing lots of shows building up to that first record?
Yeah, definitely getting on bigger and bigger shows. We started playing with Into Another, hooked us up a bunch, Burn, and then Orange 9 when they became that, and then Gavin's other bands, Die 116.
Yeah.
Super Touch we played with, and just started getting, like we started to become one of the bands that opened for the big bands in New York,
Right.
And then we actually got the first tour we did. Rory hooked it up. We got on tour with Endpoint.
Oh wow! Okay.
And that was like, it was so awesome of them to take us and for her to push for us on that, because it was like nobody knew who we were.
She loved you guys. It seems it's awesome.
Yeah, and then unfortunately we had a falling out with her, which I have plenty of guilt about. I don't even know. It's like looking back, I'm like, I don't even know what happened. It was just like weird non-communication.
Yeah.
Kids don't know, like 19-year-olds don't know how to talk about what they want or their feelings. We were just like, so yeah, we kind of fell out with her. But then at that point we were hooked up enough with bands that, we were able to keep it rolling, and then getting on Equal Vision, helped a lot. Yeah,
that was like a big deal to be on Equal Vision. It still is now, but back then especially too.
Yeah, it was definitely a big
deal. But we were the first non-Krishna band on Equal Vision, which was definitely a thing where we're like, do we want to, it's a little weird that it's like a Krishna label, but
interesting.
They were so cool, and we loved Shelter and 108, so it was like, just made sense to give it a shot.
How was that tour?
Which one? The
Endpoint.
Endpoint. It was great. I mean, that was definitely like.
Was it all around the U.S. or just East Coast?
I think it was kind of like Midwest and East Coast. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it was great. I remember I didn't have my license. I'm a city kid. I didn't have a license.
None of
like
New
Toby.
York friends don't have a license.
Yeah, and then so I had to like rush to get my license, get my actual license so I could drive on that tour.
So what were you guys traveling in?
We had a minivan. Mm-hmm. They rented. However, they booked this tour. They just it was Endpoint, Shift, and this band Falling Forward.
Yeah, I know
that was also pretty unknown at the time, but has kind of got a little bigger after that. But they rented 3 minivans, so we would just caravan in these 3 minivans with all our gear stuffed in them, and
Oh my God,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and that was I was probably 18 when that happened, and it was definitely like the cool get to be on tour, first tour. It was like fucking awesome.
Were you working at the time when you graduated and stuff? Like,
did
you go to college or anything or no?
I went to college for 2 years. I think I got off. I can't remember how I did that first tour. Maybe it was in the summer. But after
Where'd you go?
I went to Columbia University.
Nice.
Okay. Well.
So my parents were very proud, and then I decided to drop out to be
for music.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
To be a rock star.
Were they so bummed?
Like, what the hell?
Were they pretty bummed?
They were pretty cool about it.
Okay.
I mean, they're artistic people, and they totally understood that we were getting opportunities to tour, and it was like, they understood why I was doing
Columbia's
it. It's a good school,
Shit.
And I actually technically I took a leave of absence.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know if I'm still on the books somewhere there. Like if I tried to go back, but
What was your major there?
I only did 2 years, and you declare your major after the first 2 years.
Okay.
They have so many requirements that I just did a bunch of stuff, and then I really liked anthropology, but I'm like, I didn't know what you would do with that,
Right.
So I was like,
work in a museum. Or
yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't know what I was going to do.
So you quit and just went for it with the band. That was it.
Yeah, I think we had a couple tour possibilities like lined up, and I was just like, all right,
like,
fuck it, let's go for it.
Do it.
Yeah, like what am I going to say? No, it's
Right.
like so.
And then everyone have like the same aspirations. Like, let's make this happen. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'd say we all did. I mean, I was definitely the de facto leader of the band, like sort of pushing and calling everybody and but yeah, everybody wanted to go for it and see what would happen. I mean, Sam, like I said, she didn't know about the band. It definitely was more like we're like, talking her into it. Like this is,
coaching her.
This is a big band you've never heard of, but I promise you there's going to be people at these shows, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it worked out, and then we did the next record on Equal Vision, Spacesuit.
Yeah, that was a big one, man.
And that was, definitely got another bump, another level with that one. Richie from Into Another and Underdog produced it.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
So-
I didn't know that either.
Which was awesome. I mean,
Love Underdog, love Into Another, man.
yeah.
Love it. Love Richie's voice.
Best,
and
dude.
everything.
And he's great. And that was just another big thing for us of having this like cool guy from the scene putting his name on our record. It just helped, definitely helped us get to the next level.
Yeah, and that record did pretty well.
It did well, and we got to tour. We went to Europe.
Okay.
With Earth Crisis.
First time in Europe.
That was our we got.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was it your first time ever in Europe, right? Or had you already been?
I hadn't been,
Okay.
so it was just like,
And with Earth Crisis, wow.
with Earth Crisis, which is a very odd.
I was going to ask how the
pairing of
crowds were for
bands.
that. Well, Europe's different because there's so many mixed.
Yeah.
It's so cool there.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, it was almost every show was packed, was sold out. I mean, it was like it was great, and it was fun. You got a tour bus. We never had a bus before.
You're on a
all
tour
that.
bus.
Yeah,
Sick.
Okay.
like both bands on one bus.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But
still,
it was
first time in Europe. That's
it was a blast.
I know we mention that sometimes because Derek's in Sepultura and they have their own bus. But I'm about to go share a bus with 4 bands next in a couple of weeks. I'm 52.
But I've shared
That's like the
buses
hardcore thing.
before.
Like you put a bunch of bands on one bus. You have like.
Oh no, of course. I
know.
mean, I went with Outface.
Okay.
We went in a van, and it had like a loft type thing,
Right.
where it's like a death loft.
Do you think Sepultura would split a bus with somebody at this point?
We did.
Okay.
We did with Crowbar.
Okay.
At one point, or no, not Crowbar. I'm sorry, Prong,
Okay.
and then we did also with Crisium. They're a band
Okay,
from
okay.
Brazil, so we're not snobs.
Right.
Some people like their space and you get older.
We
you
do
wanna-
like our space. 'Cause-
I know, me too.
Yeah, but it's all good.
So, did you know Earth Crisis before that?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew who they were. I'd never met them.
Okay.
I
Were
knew
you
them.
afraid of Their
I thought
radicalism?
I was worried that we wouldn't get along, but
Right.
we weren't like drinkers. I don't think I drank at all at that point.
Yeah.
I wasn't like straight edge per se, but I didn't drink.
Yeah.
I never drank on tour back then, and but I still was worried it was going to be just a weird energy, between
Yeah.
us. But it worked out great. They were super fun guys, and
Yeah, they're awesome dudes.
Hilarious.
yeah.
So that's the first kind of tour for that record.
That was the first. Well, that was the first European tour. I know we toured the U.S. with Into Another. Did one with Orange 9. I think we did a tour with Shelter, or maybe like a. And then the big tour we got
what was that?
around then. It might have been right before the record came out. Was with Clutch and Tad.
Oh, snap.
I love
Yeah,
Clutch
I
Tat.
love both of those bands.
Yeah.
It's such a
It's
cool
a weird
mix,
tour. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
cool. It was also like just looked funny. Clutch,
Yeah.
Tad, Shift. Like the names like just
but
Yeah.
worked
I
together.
could see- I could see how that could be really cool.
That was Tim Bohr,
Shout out to
booking
Tim Moore,
agent.
man.
He hooked us up. He was
That's
like
awesome.
said this is a new young band, and he got us on that tour. I mean, that was huge for us, just to like
Cool.
feel like now we're on a tour with non-hardcore bands, like just a
Yeah.
different scene.
right.
Yeah.
That's when it really started to feel like we're really doing it, and
Mm-hmm.
and that tour was great. The bands were super nice, and the crowds were like, sometimes they liked us, sometimes they couldn't care less, sometimes they
It's part of
hated
the
us,
game, part of
But
the
yeah,
game.
it was. But yeah,
I like that challenge though, playing with different bands.
Yeah,
For sure.
It's
Try to
a
win the
great
crowd over.
challenge, man. It's necessary, I think. To
Yeah, it makes you a better band too, and just everything.
Absolutely.
Learn how to talk to the crowd and everything.
yeah, and it's also like in New York at that time too. It's like Into Another was playing hardcore shows. I mean, they didn't sound like a hardcore band.
Nah,
they were like
dude.
something totally from another dimension.
Yeah.
love that.
So
I know
there's
we
a lot
mentioned
of
Orange
that.
9. I was listening to Orange 9 today. I feel like that nobody has Chaka's vocal. Nobody ever since Orange 9 could sound like Chaka. Just the
Yeah,
way
really unique
Yeah.
Super
sound.
unique. So unique,
And then at the
dude.
time, I thought they were really going to blow up.
Me too,
beyond
man.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is the new.
Yeah.
Was
And
it No
shit.
Helmet Included or something? I forgot what it's called. The name of the album.
So good, man.
I forgot what it's called.
I can't.
Yeah,
think of it.
no.
No Helmet Included.
No, it's
It had the helmet in the cover, the
Yeah,
orange
yeah.
helmet. I don't know what it's called,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
shout you out, Chaka.
All I know is that it was a huge influence for a lot of bands. So
Yeah.
that style, like for even myself, I was like trying to be in the band. I was like, oh man, like his cadence of,
Yeah.
it's really unique. Like you said, in the hardcore scene, their beats, the diversity of the songs,
Timing,
like
the
going
structures of the
down and
songs.
up and
Yeah.
All that. It's just like,
It was cool. It was
And then-
really, really cool. And what's it before Rage? I want to say
Probably
that it
around the
came
same
out-
time. What year did the first Rage
I
come
don't
out?
know.
I can't remember.
They had to play together
Need a
sometime.
computer,
Yeah.
'cause that was like,
But Fred
yeah,
Durst told me straight up that Orange 9's the number one influence of Limp Bizkit.
yeah.
Straight up told me that. I couldn't believe it. You would never even think that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he loved Orange 9,
But
man.
it makes sense, man. They were definitely like, I was like, oh shit, here we go,
Yeah.
here we go.
He's such a great performer. too.
Yes.
He just was like
Yeah.
a real front man, exciting, just that kind of like exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Like you just
And you
couldn't
didn't know
take
what
your
was
eyes
gonna
off him.
happen,
Yeah.
like with him, where it's just like unpredictable and
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, like the white belt with like the bell bottom jeans and no shirt.
Yeah.
And the dreads and just going off like Jack. Like,
I've never seen anybody do that hairstyle either. When he
Nah,
had the
dude.
one,
Yeah, right,
just
right.
dreads on one
No, man.
little section,
Chocolate would
It's
give me
cool.
all your flowers
yeah.
today.
And Burn, I was already like, holy shit,
Oh,
this is
same.
like another level. But I love Burn like that. energy,
Burns
too.
freaking dude.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We
man.
loved Burn. They just had that 7-inch, the EP back
Yeah.
then. But there was this 3 songs that Rory gave us a tape of because she worked with them. And we were
Godhead
like-
shall be judged. That stuff.
Well,
on it?
no, it was the next.
Oh, the one. Oh, yeah.
It was Tales of Shade 2, New Morality,
Morality.
and one other song. And we were like, this is fun. These are, and we'd heard those songs live, and we're like,
Right.
this is that I would listen to so many times, trying to
Dang.
like rip those songs off. And then later they put that out,
Okay.
like in like 2000 or something. They
Damn.
they put out those 3 songs. So
Also, Still Suit was a band you guys would play with, right?
yeah, well, those were
All
our
right.
buddies. Yeah.
Yeah, Julian. Yeah.
Julian.
He became like a chef or
That's
something.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like a cook or something.
Well, he worked at Little Frankie's.
Yeah,
in
Little
Frank.
Frankie's. Yeah, by my house.
Yeah, he was like
I lived on 5th and 2nd. He was there. Yeah.
he was, he'd be like a host. I think he managed it. Like he was kind of running
He had a
those,
cool
those
energy,
restaurants.
that kid, man.
Yeah, he was another great front man.
Yeah.
He was great.
And then the other dudes, Manny was the bass player.
Manny.
He actually did that tour we did with Earth Crisis, he came with us as our second guitar player.
Okay, awesome.
He was just like one of our best friends and
Yeah.
always hanging out with us. And
Still suit.
Orlando was the guitar player. Dimmy was the
Who's
drummer.
with Crown of Thorns still
Yeah.
right now? Yeah. Oh, that's right. Dimmy was from there.
Yeah.
Still suit. That's right. I didn't
Oh
realize
my
that.
God.
Yeah.
It was such a like a whole. It was like a whole new kind of generation too, because we're a little older than you. And I remember you guys
Right,
came around.
right.
It was a whole different scene of like your style. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We were the new kids. We were scared of you and your friends.
But the delinquents.
But under Acme, I remember all of it. Just
Under
yeah. It was-
Acme was like the spot, man. So
Yeah.
many shows there.
I remember when we like going to those shows and just seeing, these scary kids, you know. And I'm like, when I first started going to hardcore shows, I still had a long hair, you know. So I was
Okay.
really like, just like, I'm not supposed to be here. So I'm gonna
No.
get. But then, but yeah, we'd be afraid of you guys. I was afraid of. I mean, I remember when we met Steve Reddy. I remember him talking about. I think he was talking about H2O or something. Maybe it was right before he decided to do your
7-inch.
7-inch.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, saying something like, you know, and he's like, oh no, Toby's the nicest dude. Like he's a teddy bear, you know, he likes Madonna. And I was like,
True,
I was like,
dude.
what? Really? Like, I don't know that guy. You just had an exterior about
Totally.
you back
You know
then,
what?
you know?
That's
Totally.
true, because before I met Toby, I remember like I just associated him with
Guilty
all
by
the, like,
association,
with
bro.
all
I'm
those like
serious.
hoods.
Yeah.
I mean, they were my friends, but I wasn't like that.
No, I love those guys, but I mean
Yeah.
now that I know them, but if you were just seeing, you'd be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's part of that hood life.
Because and a lot of those tough guys later we met them and they were all nice to us and everything.
Totally.
But at the
dude.
beginning we're like, don't punch that guy in the pit by accident.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
stay away from him in the pit. Or, you
People
know, like,
said that to me about people from generations before me as well. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
going to shows when I first moved to New York, like that guy over there, or that guy with the one eye, or whatever, this guy, or that nickname guy, like stay away from him. That was like the New York fucking
Yeah.
characters,
It
bro.
was terrifying
yeah.
in the pit, though. I mean, there were
Yeah.
people
Oh, yeah.
just going off.
Oh yeah. There was like, you know who used to scare me in the pit was Sob.
Yeah,
Totally.
didn't I have that sob story? I was like,
Yeah,
saw them
dude.
like in the pit during Leeway, like in
Ill dancer, dude.
Yeah.
and it was like at the show in Hoboken. I was watching.
Oh,
at
yeah,
that- at
Hoboken,
that
sure.
spot. What was it called? I can't remember.
A lot of bands played in Hoboken. I
Yeah.
remember that one spot.
And
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit. I
Yeah.
came to New York for the summer and I saw him and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah,
man?
he had those long arms.
Dude.
He was swinging around. Yeah.
I was like,
But
somebody's going
Chalk
down.
had ill dance style too.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
he was smiling. He wasn't like so
True.
serious.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like spiritual, kind of
No,
that
he
kind
was
of
about
a
this-
gingy absolution vibe.
Right.
Like that kind of dancing. But then it went to the next level of like.
Yeah.
Right.
It got really crazy and violent and scary, man. Like
Terrible.
just the kickbox, just all that stuff is just like
Totally unnecessary.
it got wild, man.
It got wild.
Yeah. We had our little crew of kids that we would go to the shows with, you know, me and Brandon and our friend Phil, if you remember Phil, and then Manny and Orlando and Julian. We used to go to those shows. Yeah. So at least we had like this little crew
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
of little kids, you know, like that were like kind of watching each other's back and stuff. But I remember some of those older, when I started to meet some of the older guys, they'd be like, some guy was like, you know, what is it, are you guys like a little gang or something? Like, you know, like, cause
Gang.
we used to call it POH, was like,
Okay.
and they'd made up that name before I met those kids, Brandon and them, but I think it was sort of like a joke of having a gang name. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
gang names were 3 letters back
Yeah.
then. And, you know, so it's kind of like a joke. This is our gang, you know, but
What did it
then
stand for?
I think it was originally Posse of Hardcore,
Oh, that's cool.
but I
like
think they picked POH because it just was like the least cool combination of letters they could come up with, you know?
POH.
Posse of, I like that though.
But yeah, I remember some guy who was sort of in that crew of tougher kids going, what is that, a gang? POH, what is that, your gang? You know, and I'm like, it's not really a gang, but you know, just but,
It's our high school or something.
yeah, right.
So when Spacesuit comes out, you guys fully touring, and do you guys have you guys getting radio play or something like that, or college radio?
Like
You get video?
WSOU was
Yeah.
playing it a lot, and then some other college stuff around the country. And that's when we started, you know, other bands were getting major label deals.
Yes.
Orange 9, Quicksand, obviously. Handsome.
Handsome.
Yeah.
And we started getting, you know,
offers.
sniffing little, you know, people come to the shows,
course.
and we ended up signing to Columbia.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
And put out a record on Columbia.
Where'd you record that at?
That we recorded it at a place called Bearsville, which is a famous studio up in upstate New York.
Okay.
I think the band recorded there. Like lots of old records were done there.
Who was the producer?
Producers were this team, two guys, Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley, who'd done like they'd recently done the Bush first record, the big record.
With Breathe In, Breathe Out.
And then before that, they'd worked with like Morrissey and Elvis Costello.
Oh, damn.
And so I thought it was awesome. Like these guys have done all kinds of stuff. And we were kind of like, you know, in retrospect, I'm not sure if it was the best choice, but we were kind of trying to become more like a rock band in a certain way. Like just move away from hardcore or post-hardcore. We're like, let's see where we can take this, you know, just become more of a straight rock band. So that seemed like a good match, you know, these guys who did the Bush record and that kind of stuff.
And Steve, did you have a contract with 2 records with Steve? And
yeah, we had another record. I think Columbia gave him some money to buy us out, and but it totally ended on great terms with him, you know. And then we put out a record on Columbia, and it was totally typical. Like,
so before we go into it, so what was the writing process like for you guys then?
For that record?
Yeah,
I mean, we basically did it the same way. You know, I would come up with songs, and then I'd bring them to the band, and we'd mold them into a new thing. And also around this time, we added Mark Holcomb from Undertow as a second guitar player. So then he was part of the process too. And you know, we recorded a bunch of songs. We did some demos and sent them to those producers.
Right.
And they had some thoughts, but they didn't like really do that much. They were
label.
like. Right. They were like the kind of, I don't think they were the kind of producer that, for us at least, where they were like changing the songs.
Right,
they were just sort of like about making it sound good. And
yeah, I was curious if they had like any
input or try to.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel a lot of pressure to make that record on the major?
In some ways, yes. I mean, yeah, it was definitely. I mean, it was exciting. Looking back, it was just like, wow, like we're doing it. You know,
and
like
was it a 1 record deal? Or?
I think it was a 3 record deal, if I remember.
That's pretty good for a major label. We just like 8 records, you know.
Yeah,
they go
at that
hard,
time
man.
for sure.
Yeah.
Were they like, we're taking all your publishing and everything?
No, this was before they would do that.
Okay.
But they would do. I think maybe it was 2 records firm. That was how they would always like.
2 records firm.
Or maybe it was 1. I can't even remember. But anyway. It was just, I mean, we had so many fun, just like becoming a part of a big machine like that. We had a meeting we met for the first time, the only time we met Donnie Einer, who was the head of Columbia. Mm-hmm. And he's like this, you know, just like a caricature of a record label executive, like slick hair and like a nice suit, really big, tall guy, handsome, like, you know, like, and he walked in and he's like, yeah, I love you guys. I love your record, Space Boy. And we're like, it's actually
Spaceballs. I love that. It's fantastic.
It's like it couldn't have been more scripted. Like the guy doesn't even know the name of our last record. Like total, you know.
Oh man.
But you know, they had a lot of bands. You know, it was like we were like, well, whatever. As long as you know, we'll still have people at the company that get us. But it definitely was that kind of thing where the record came out and the first single didn't do anything, and then. We didn't get any great tours. We got some good tours. We got to tour with L7, which was pretty awesome.
Nice.
And then we did a bunch of stuff with Our Lady Peace.
I remember that.
They were on Columbia. They were like from big in Canada, and they had like 1 hit here.
Right.
What about the previous fans from the other records that have been following you? Were they stoked on the new stuff? Were they bummed you went to a major? Because back then it was like a thing.
Yeah, I'd say it was like we definitely lost some, and some stuck around. It also didn't help the ones that weren't sure that we kind of did change our sound a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was sort of like, I'd had enough of like, I you know, it's like I was bored of writing songs that were like super personal and super, or I was just trying to do it from a different angle, you know?
Yeah.
And looking back, a couple of the songs kind of have this like tongue-in-cheek quality to them. Like we had a song called I Want to Be Rich, or In Honor of Myself. And it, you know, at the time it was like, this is sort of not a joke, but like it's, you know, a provocative title that's supposed to be, but it's really about something else. But like, I think that played into some people going, look at them. They signed to a major and they're talking about being rich and, you know, and I think there was definitely a part of our crowd that was like, you know, fuck those guys, basically.
I have a similar fucking flashback PTSD about our major label. We did a song called Out of Debt. And people thought, oh, they're on a major label, they're getting paper now because it had
I
nothing to
would
do
think
with that
too.
though.
Right.
But everybody they had their like a microscopes on you. Even if they found out you
Maybe they're
signed to a
happy you
major
added
before
that,
you even
though.
heard the record, they talk shit. Before you could even put a product out on that major label, they want to talk shit because you went to a major. They never give it a chance in the first place.
Yeah.
Right now, our record, people love that shit 20 years later. Back then, we were sellouts and this and that. But yeah, Out of Debt, some of the song titles,
Out
I'm
of
like,
Debt.
I'm
I would be
that's kinda
happy
weird.
then. I'd be like, yo, they're out of debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we never recouped from that record, just so you know. It's
Right.
2000 on
Yeah.
MCA.
Yeah.
Oh, it could take so much money. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, I know what you're saying.
So they were like, okay, how were they on promotion and everything like that? Were
Oh,
they-
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they tried in some ways, but there was definitely those things where like they picked a song as a single and they pressed up all these CD singles, which they used to do back then.
Yeah.
And then they like changed their mind about which single, like just stuff where you're like, you'd start going, like that doesn't
Right.
feel like they are confident or know what they're doing here.
Oh, switching singles and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
unsure, and then they definitely didn't know where we were from. I mean, they didn't understand the bands that
Right. So you did
know.
those tours like L7 and
Our Lady of Peace.
Our Lady Peace.
Yeah.
And that was in the U.S.
Yeah, we only did a quick European thing when that record came out. I think it was only like a few shows. It was like a couple, like more like showcase shows or
Okay.
something.
Were you
Yeah, we
guys
did-
stoked on the record, how it came out?
Yeah, at the time, I was super. I mean, I was excited. It sounded like a much bigger, sort of more production
Yeah.
value than the earlier stuff, and I was pretty psyched on it.
But the label, did they lose interest fast after the first couple of singles? And
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's so
but
crazy
then,
how that
but they
happens.
were like, we were going to do another record. And so it felt like, all right, that
Right.
didn't quite click, but they're going to give us another shot.
Let's have another round. So how long was it until you start working on
The
the
next
second
one.
album?
Well, what ended up happening was sort of in between, we'd done touring on the Get In was the one for Columbia.
Yeah.
And then Samantha, I think through her Zildjian, she'd gotten like sponsored by Zildjian, and someone from there like heard Hole's looking for a drummer.
Okay.
So she got a audition, got the gig. So we're like, and she was kind of like, I still want to be in Shift, but I just have this, so I'm going to also be in Hole. And like, I was like, I forget, so that would have been like 90.
97, 98?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
98 probably. So I was like, a kid, and I'm, 23, and I'm like, well, fuck this. I'm not going to wait around for you to come back from, it's just
Right.
like, I kind of was like,
Yeah.
and then
You heard about it? You bummed about it back then?
I was kind of,
Yeah.
happy for her. I remember, it was like cool, like, oh, she's going to be in a fucking big band. Like, but then,
Right.
but also like,
Maybe they'll take Shift out.
what are you doing? Like, but
Yeah.
then, it definitely was like, I kind of should have just said, all right, let's wait a little. I'll write some songs and let's
Right.
wait and see what happens. Or I could have said, let's get a new drummer and
Yeah.
just do it. But it felt a little bit like, oh, well, I don't know. She's a big part of the band. And it's
Yeah.
like, and then we get a new drummer and and then I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to break up the band and start a new band.
Oh,
Wow.
And like now as a grown up, I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking, man?
Well,
You should
was
like,
the
you had
label like, what are you doing?
not really. They were kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I didn't speak to a lot of the people there directly,
Yeah.
but it was
Right.
just always through management and stuff like that. But, so yeah, it's like in retrospect, I'm like, why didn't I just at least make it? You could have just tried or made another
Yeah.
record with her and then see what happens. But,
So
But
you
yeah.
you were like, it's done. What are the other guys like bummed? Like,
kind
we
of,
got another record.
Yeah.
I think, what happened too is like, we were just like not communicating well too.
Right,
We weren't
okay.
getting along. So it was like we were all kind of mad at each other. And,
Right.
a lot of that was my fault because I was just the leader, but also like not good at communicating. So
Yeah.
like I'd just sort of like be a dick to them or like, tell them what to do. I don't know. There's just lots of way, be passive aggressive about stuff. And, now I'm like, oh yeah, I can see how that.
You
wouldn't-
wanted to keep going. Did you?
So you kept going.
Yeah, you kept going. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm just going to start a new band.
Okay.
And then I started Big Collapse. But, it just was like, you realize sometimes when you're like, oh, yeah, it's like there's a reason it's easier to just keep the ball rolling
Yeah,
dude.
than get a
Start
new ball
something new.
rolling, and yeah, we just,
Starting fresh could be really hard.
I had trouble finding the right people. And then we were going to do a record, or we ended up doing a record with this little indie called Grape OS, which was run by Scott Weingard from Texas Is the Reason.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And him and this guy, Dave Walter, who was at Hollywood Records. He worked at a major label, but then he kind of was doing this on the side. And I'd been friends with him, and he had helped me a lot with just giving me advice and stuff over the years. But then that was another one where it was like, it took forever to finish the record because they were trying to do it really low budget. And the producer, this guy, Ray Martin, was always like, I can't work this month, next month I'm doing something else. And it took forever to make it. And then it came out weird. The cover art was wrong. Like, it's just one of those things where like the printing of the cover, like the colors were wrong when we got them. We're like, what the hell, and then it also came out right before 9/11 too. So it was just like everything was just like a jumbled mess with that band. And then so that's when I decided to move out here to LA. And then I ended up doing a version of Big Collapse out here with just the guitar player and me. This guy Matt Kane, he moved out with me. And then we met Gavin, ran into Gavin, we knew from New York out here, from Burn and Diamond 16. And then we found this drummer,
Did
Kyle.
Gavin move out here?
He was like training people at a gym, I think,
Wow.
out here. He's working
No way.
Yeah, he was working at Crunch Fitness.
Crunch. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Gavin.
And as soon as he started living at our friend Antonio's house.
Okay, Bellatory, yes.
Yeah. And
oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, so it was like this little New York crew, and then that record, we did a record for this label Militia Group.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that record I really liked and still like, but just one of those things, like we toured for like a year.
You did.
Damn.
But like all pretty small tours and, just never kind of clicked and
You were
got to the
touring
next
on
thing.
your own or with other bands?
We toured with some other bands, like we did some stuff with 18 Visions.
Okay.
I can't even think. It's like I'm so long
Were you
ago.
just getting burnt on the music industry too?
I was
and all
just
that?
starting to get a little bit. Yeah, I was starting and then, but that we started working with Vaughn Lewis and Kenny Gabor, and they were great management team.
Strong management, yes.
And they were like, when in Shift, when we got our major label deal, we got a big manager, this woman, Bridget Wright, who worked with Rage Against the Machine.
Wow.
And the company she worked with, she did L7 too. And then the company she was with managed Pearl Jam and some other big stuff. Mm-hmm. But then what happens is you're the smallest band on a roster.
Totally, man.
And I couldn't get people on the phone, and I was just annoyed. And I was like so into it that I was like calling every day. I would call them every day. What tour? You get us any tours? What's up with a single? And they would just
you were on it because you believed,
yeah. But also probably I was like, I should have like saved up my questions for the end of the week, I just was being too persistent, and
I was like that too, man. It's like passionate Punisher.
Yeah.
It's just because it's your baby. It's your baby, and like you want to get shit done. You don't wait for people, and nobody's responding to you, and you email people and respond. You're like, this is my shit. This is my livelihood.
Yeah.
I totally.
And
get
you're
it,
sitting
man.
in your house, and you're like, I want to be on tour. I want to be doing something, and you're like, what's going on? But then with Big Collapse, we started working with Vaughn and Kenny, and they put up with so many phone calls for me, and I was like, I remember, I'd be calling Kenny, there's a show here. Can you get us on the show? Just like all these ideas. And they were like so cool about listening to all of them and helping and, getting us on stuff. And, I'm forever indebted to just how much energy they put into that band, and never made a penny off us because nobody made a penny off that band,
And so when was it like, okay, wait, I'm going to call it quits.
So that band, Gavin decided to move. We'd done a year of touring that sucked. We were all just like, fuck this, man. Like, we were just so bummed. But I still wanted to do it.
Okay.
But Gavin said, I'm moving back to New York. I quit.
Yeah.
I quit, moving back to New York.
Right.
And then the guitar player, Matt, who had moved out here, was like, I quit. I'm moving back to New York.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
So me and the drummer, Kyle, were like, all right, fuck those guys. We're going to keep doing it. But then I did the exact same thing I did with Shift, where I said, but let's make it a new band.
Oh, another band.
And then we started a new thing. It was called Kodiak.
Okay.
And we found this bass player who was a friend of Kyle's. And we did some demos. But at that point, that's when I started being like, I think what happened to me was we had a show. Kodiak played a show. And I remember just like calling and texting all my friends to come to a show, and I'm like, I've been doing this for so fucking long,
I hear you.
and I'm still begging people to come see a show, and I just was like, and I also started to have this feeling of like, I would wake up in the morning and I didn't feel that same fire to make things happen for the
Yeah.
band that I'd felt all the other years before. And that started to feel like, well, maybe I need to, if I'm not loving it, then maybe that's a sign that I'm just transitioning into a new part of my life, you know?
No, totally. But you seem like you didn't give up. I mean, for a long time, man.
Yeah. I feel like now I'm like, well, yeah, we did a lot of stuff. We toured, we got a major label deal. We played with bands we loved and had a lot of fun, made a lot of friends. I mean, I'm glad I would change some stuff, but the whole thing I wouldn't change for anything, you know. Like,
was Antonio working on the movie set design when you met him out here? Was he in that world?
Yeah, mostly photo shoots, set
yeah.
design. So that was like that was like my day job when I first got here. So he started hiring me as a prop assistant. You know, he was a prop stylist. I'd be prop assistant, picking up stuff in a truck at the prop house and setting up stuff on set for a photo shoot. And you know, he had been doing big stuff, working with Dave LaChapelle and huge photographers and stuff.
Totally.
So
I worked with you guys for a year maybe. They hired me to work with them. I was trying to help
cool.
do my best. It was fun though.
Oh man. And so you were like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back from this.
Yeah, I decided I didn't want to do that band. I just told the guys I'm just not psyched on it right now. So we stopped doing that. And then the drummer Kyle ended up trying out for Helmet. And he's been the drummer for Helmet since 2006 or whatever.
That's cool.
So he's doing great. I just saw him the other day when I ran into you guys at that Quicksand Clutch Helmet tour.
Yep.
So yeah, he's doing great. They're staying busy.
I didn't realize he was from the band. That's cool.
Yeah,
that is cool. And so what did you have in mind? Did you have any idea what you were gonna do? Where you gonna?
I wasn't sure, but I had a friend. I still have this friend, this guy Greg Griffith, who's also lived in New York for a long time. He used to be in a band called Vitapup. I don't know if you remember them. They were sort of like in the Brownies. They played Brownies a lot.
Brownies circuit.
Yeah. And he was writing music for commercials.
Okay.
You know, composing music. And I was like, and he's like, yeah, and I make decent money doing this, you know, and I get to play my guitar in my home studio. So I started
be creative.
So yeah, I started going, well, how do I do that? And learning, and I got Pro Tools on my computer, and I started learning how to do that. And then
while you're working with Antonio, doing that too. Learning?
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
then at the end of the day, I'd go home and do that. And then I started finding out who the companies were that did music for commercials. There's these companies called music houses that work with ad agencies to find music or to write music for commercials. And I started literally cold calling these places and emailing them, and it gradually I started getting work doing that, and then basically I'm still doing that. So I've been doing that for 13 years or something like that.
Did you start doing that with Antonio, and then you slowly just went and just did that?
Yeah, and then I would, at one point I remember saying, I'm getting so many calls to write music for these commercials that I got to stop working with Antonio.
Is it a big scene, like the commercial writing business? I would think it'd be huge in LA. Like there's so many writers. And hard to break in. And
it's definitely hard. I did not. I just was calling these music houses, cold calling, and and like
where they'd be like, let me hear what you've done.
Yeah, that's the problem at the beginning. You don't have anything to show them, but then they'd say, well, we'll let you do one. Because what they do basically is they hire a bunch of people for a commercial, like 8 people, 10
whatever
people.
Gets picked up,
and they pay you a small fee to write something, and then if you get your track is picked, then you get a bunch more money. So they'd be like, all right, we'll give you
or something.
Yeah, they'd go, we'll give you a shot. And then I started winning a few, and that kind of thing, and it started to snowball.
So now you're like official in that world. People know you in that world.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty established in that.
That's cool.
World, and that that's what how I've been making a living for however long.
How many years now?
So yeah, it's like what did I just say? 13 years, something like that. Yeah.
And at one point, did you end up having an agent, or just still doing everything yourself?
I don't. I work with a bunch of different music houses as a freelancer, basically.
Okay.
So they hire me, and then what I really want to do is do film and TV shows. I just did my first full length movie. It just came out recently. It's called Mystery Spot. Okay. This guy Mel House, he's a writer. He was working on this movie, and he literally called me out of the blue. He was a Shift fan and big Collapse fan.
That's dope.
And said, I saw that you're doing music for commercials. Do you want to score my movie? And I was like, sure. Yeah. Okay.
That's really cool, man.
So that was awesome. That, it's like, how often is someone just going to out of the blue, when you haven't done anything in that, scene yet in film scoring. So that was huge. And that is just about to be streaming. The movie's already streaming on like Vudu and Tubi,
Yeah.
like, those kind of streamers, the free
Yeah.
ones. And I think you can rent it on Apple and Prime Video and all that stuff. And then the soundtrack is about to be up on the music streamers, Spotify and Apple
That's
Music
awesome.
and stuff.
It's so congrats. And does that still fill your soul and your heart? You're not playing or making records. You're still doing music that fills that void of not.
Absolutely, yeah. Because now I think, I don't have that. The idea of like playing a show, it's not that exciting for me.
Yeah.
The idea of doing it, but that same creative urge, like scoring a scene in a movie, is like, it definitely. I mean, when I was working on this movie for him, when I first started doing it, because I'd done commercials, but I'd never done a long something that it's almost 2 hours long, and I was like, can I do this? I don't know if I, And I remember there was one scene, and I was just messing around with ideas, and I finally got something that worked. And what's so cool about music for picture is like, even if you wrote it, sometimes you just do something and like the scene comes to life.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
music,
sure.
because the music kind of tells you how you're supposed to feel, in a certain way. Like it's like,
And you're doing that. It's
and
cool.
I did, and then it was like, whoa! And I literally started crying, like, because it was such a relief. Like I did it, and also like now I'm feeling this. It was just like overwhelming. Awesome. So then I'm like, okay, this is definitely what I want to do. And the commercial music is similar, but the difference is, the emotion you're trying to help. Sometimes you're just helping them sell
something.
What
are some commercials you might know your stuff in? I
mean, I'm gonna have a Dodge commercial that's airing in the Super Bowl.
Wow, dude, that's sick.
Which may have already happened when this comes out, but it's right now it's in 2 weeks or whatever.
Oh shit, that's cool, man.
Sick. So when you write these songs for like commercials, for example, Super Bowl stuff, do you sell the song that you wrote? They buy it from you.
It
so
depends.
It's just like done.
Sometimes sometimes it's called a work for hire, and they just own the music forever. And then sometimes it's a license. So you still own it. I actually just have a license that I just got. Is another one that's for my scrapbook. It's a commercial with Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
Oh, right.
That's your roots, the metal.
Yeah, I loved him when I was 8 years old.
He's great. Shout out to Dee, man. He's
Wait, you with him the other day or something?
Straight edge.
You with him the other day?
From New York.
He's he has a great story too. I heard him on a couple podcasts, and he's just like an interesting, smart,
super smart.
Yeah, never drank.
Never did drugs.
Yeah,
never drank. Him and his wife.
Yeah,
both. They met in high school.
He's been with her this whole time.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
She's mad cool.
But I did a commercial for Sennheiser. It's like a earbud that's sort of like a, like a hearing aid, but also I think you can talk on it and stuff. It's a commercial where it's a joke of him and another metal guy in a restaurant, and they can't hear each other.
Cool.
But then they sing to each metal style to each other, and then they can understand each other. But then he goes, "You got to get one of these." Then just the last 5 seconds at the end, music comes in, and that's something I wrote.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was another one. I'm like, nice. I worked with Dee Snider. I mean, he didn't know anything about what I was doing, but it was just cool to like be, have music on a commercial with him.
And technically, like working with film score, like how does that work? Like the director's like, these are the scenes that we need some music for.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Or do they have any? Or are they like, we're kind of feeling this, or they let you have that freedom to be like, this is what I came up with?
It really depends.
Okay.
And it's the same with commercials, that it totally is all over the place. Sometimes you'll get like a thing where they're like, here's this commercial with this Coldplay song on it. We can't afford it.
Right.
So
make it similar.
Write something very close to this, but don't get us sued. Wow.
Yeah, that happens a lot because I hear stuff like, that sounds like I know what they're going after.
Yeah, but sometimes if it's close enough that you know what it sounds like, sometimes that's when they're like, because they have people called musicologists who will check it. They'll go, is this, how close is this? Because people, I mean, the Black Keys sued some people. There was a bunch of bands have sued commercials, sued the ad agency and the product and the person who wrote it, because they're saying you ripped us off. So sometimes for a movie or for commercials, they have something that specific.
Yeah.
Other times they're just like, here's some ideas of songs, something like this. And then sometimes they're just like, I don't know what we want, just make it work,
Right.
Damn.
And the film that I did with Mel, this director, he was amazing. And he basically just said, here's the movie, do whatever you think works.
That's cool.
And then he loved everything I did. And it was like a dream scenario,
And how busy are you with this stuff? It's like full time every...
Yeah, well, the commercials is I'm super busy, and then it's super quick deadlines too.
Okay.
Like a lot of times it's like a day to write something, or 2 days. So, you kind of got to learn to just come up with an idea and trust your instinct and just finish it, and not overthink it,
But
then
it's stressful. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're working at home, right?
Yeah, I have a studio in my garage, and you just got to be. It's just a weird job in that sense that it's hard to plan ahead. I mean, even even I was about to leave my house. That's why I was 4 minutes late. I was about to leave, and they're like, "Can you change this thing real quick on the thing you wrote?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck, okay." Did it as fast as I could and sent it off. There's a lot of you got to be there, be ready to revise because their deadlines are super quick.
Yeah. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do, and
yeah. And right. They call me, say, "Are you available this week?" And then I'll can say yes or no.
you have no boss. It's just you.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, actually. Just deadlines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about jingles and stuff like that?
There
catchy.
there aren't as many old school jingles where you're singing about the product.
Right.
Every once in a while there'll be one of those, but it tends to be more like a joke.
Okay.
They're making fun of a traditional jingle. So
Love jingles.
Shout out to Turnstile with the Taco Bell commercial.
Oh, they did one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah?
And my friend Tim Bergevin, shout him out. He's one who made it happen. He used to work for.
Give me a scenario. What happened?
It's just the kids getting in the car with their tacos, and then the song comes on.
A Turnstile song.
Yeah.
right.
You didn't seen that yet?
No.
It's crazy,
I
bro.
don't watch TV, man.
You watch all kinds of shows, but there's no commercials in the shows you watch. Okay.
I watch movies and TV series.
Yeah, there's no commercial. Anyway, it's cool to hear the song in a commercial.
Yeah.
I always want to be in a commercial. You guys any commercials?
Yeah.
What, in America or South America?
South America.
What kind of commercial?
Pepsi.
Wow.
Volkswagen.
Jesus.
And
That's enough.
yeah.
That's crazy.
That's pretty crazy. It's hard to imagine a Volkswagen commercial.
Volkswagen one was
Sepultura.
funny. They had they had us set up on stage like a regular show, and then there's all the people in the audience, and we're just getting ready to play 1, 2, 3.
Right.
And then we start doing a song in Portuguese, soft, and then it's just people oh my God, he's writing about a coconut on the beach, and I had to sing it in Portuguese, and then the crowd are like, what the? And then it's you've never seen Sepultura like this. You've never seen a car like this. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Volkswagen.
Dude.
That's awesome.
Do you know anybody in the voiceover world?
No.
This guy needs to get in there with his voice, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you got to.
He's got such a good voice
dulcet
for it.
tones, yeah.
It will happen.
Those are totally different worlds, though.
Yeah.
Is it cutthroat vibe, too, with this kind of job? Is it a weird, world of...
I don't know if it's cutthroat. I mean, it's very competitive.
Not competitive. Okay, competitive. Yeah.
I mean, I just mean it's not cutthroat in the sense that you don't always even know who you're competing against. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of but I think the music houses can be a little cutthroat with other music houses to get work from the ad agencies,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
13 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm psyched. I get to make music in my garage for a living. It's not
usually around your family, which is really
exactly.
Nice,
yeah, I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, so just to be able to be flexible with because that's the other thing. It's I have to write something by tomorrow afternoon, but I can do it tonight or tomorrow, or so it's
you have crazy hours doing it.
It can be crazy, and that's why I was saying. I told you before we started. I mean, I wake up super early because I like to work before the kids get up when there's no distractions. So I mean, setting the alarm for 4 a.m. I mean, sometimes even I've every once in a while even earlier when there's just a crazy deadline, and I'm just because now I'm on that type of schedule. I get up early for the kids,
and then separating work from home and having it right at your house, and
but
the
it's
kids
nice.
Can bother you in the garage and stuff.
It's nice that it's a separate structure though, the garage, so I can just walk out there and then close the door and then come in the house and be.
I would think
Dad,
it's necessary to have that separation.
For sure, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That created your own, not your own lane in the world, but just going from that to that and still keeping, being creative as a musician,
yeah, for
artist.
sure. And then, I mean, like I said, film and that kind of stuff is a little more, feels like an extension of it, where it's more purely creative, whereas the commercial is a little bit more like you're trying to sell a taco or whatever. It doesn't, it's not exactly fulfilling in the same way, necessarily, although it's still fun, you still get to make something that sounds cool to you, so it's you know.
So movies, that's a whole different thing. Like getting into that.
It is a
world.
different group of people that you have to know to get more work in that area. And there's a lot of work for free in that world because there's a lot of movies that don't have any money for music.
Oh,
so they're
right,
like,
right.
yeah, you could do this, but I don't have any money, or I have $500. But then you're like, it's like months of work. Like I can't do it, you know. But
just to get one thing in there and get the name out like that. you
yeah,
know?
I mean that movie that I did, you know, it gave me an IMDb credit for a
Sick.
film, you know, like that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that, and I'm about to start reaching out more and trying to get into that world more and see where it takes me.
Have you thought about like collaborations with other artists to write soundtracks? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. I have a couple friends who are doing films and stuff. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. You know, I've talked to them a little bit about it, so we'll see, man.
I'm stoked for you. That's great. What about new music, or would you ever do a band again? Nothing like that.
I just like I said, I'm not. It just doesn't excite me for some reason. You know, like I still love music and bands, and you know, but I just like I don't know, just like doesn't thrill me. You know, I feel like the last bunch of times I tried to write songs in that style, I'm just like, nah, this isn't the kind of band I want to be in. You know, and like I don't know what it is. Like I never found that sound for that I wanted the next band to sound like. So I just kind of wasn't excited.
Are you
about
listening
it.
to new music, even like punk or hardcore stuff, or are you just in your own world doing your stuff?
I mean, I literally, everybody says it, but I listen to all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, new hardcore, every once in a while, I'll kind of like, you know, there's a few new, I mean, you'd mentioned Turnstile or like Drug Church, you know,
I saw them
like
play recently with the Bronx. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's some stuff where like, oh, this is cool. Like this is a new kids are trying a new angle on it, you know, that works, you know. So
there's so many young bands now, especially in California, man. I've been to a bunch of shows. It's just thriving everywhere, you know. It's like a generation of
yeah,
it's so cool.
I think they broke up at Gulch. You know them? They were pretty sick. Like there's some of that really aggressive stuff. I was like, there's some bands doing a cool take on this, you know, like a really hard.
Yeah, those are the kids in
version of
Drain now from Gulch.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. There's so many bands like we talked about the other day. Just Gel, we saw the band Gel with Verbal Assault.
They were sick. They were awesome.
It's cool just to see the new world of it, you know?
Yeah.
And hearing about bands through my son, he checks out, or it's awesome.
I still listen to a lot of metal too. Yeah, because I just like that was one thing where I kind of like rediscovered my my youth. You know, I was like, oh yeah, remember these bands, and then it kind of just got me all into different bands, and you know.
Yeah, so by the stuff you're doing now, it's opened your mind to different things, probably more types of music.
For sure, yeah. You know, and then sometimes you get like a reference, like I said, where they give you something with a song on it, like who's this? This is good, and then find a new band that way, or you know, it's also just part of my job. I feel like at this point to just stay up on.
Yeah,
I'm checking Pitchfork and Stereo Gum, all the sites, just like what's coming out, just to see what people are doing to stay, you know, stay young, you know, kind of like stay hip, a little bit hip, you know.
Right.
Are there people from the punk rock scene or hardcore scene that you've met in this world too, or no?
Yeah,
we
run across like,
question.
oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, there's a music house down in Richmond. That's a couple guys. So one of the guys from Thursday is part of it. Yeah, so that Andrew from Thursday.
Okay,
he's like part owner, I believe, of this company called Tiny Lion that is a music house. So I work with them, and the other dude, Jonathan, was also in another like a Jade Tree band. I can't remember what the name of it is offhand.
Damn, Jade Tree. I forgot about that label.
Yeah.
So music house, just to get it in my head how this works. So they exist where, let's say an artist is writing music and the music house picks it up and they just kind of, who goes to the music house? Like the person that, like from the commercial or movies are like, we need music. Yeah. So we'll go to a music house to get songs that they own, or?
Usually, so the ad agencies who are doing a commercial will go.
We need music,
right? So they're filming. You know, they set up who's the director of the commercial and all this stuff, and then they will go to music houses. They have relationships with music houses, so they go to the music. They'll maybe one. Sometimes they go to a few for a commercial, but they'll go to them and say, we need. Sometimes they just want, do you have anything existing that would work for this? So sometimes they don't necessarily own the music, but they may just have a bunch of tracks. Well, like I have a bunch of tracks that I've written or sent them for different things, and then they just have a library of music.
But they don't own it.
They don't own it. I own it. But then they'll call me and say, can we send
But they're just
this
kind of holding it, I guess. They're like
they're a middleman. Yeah.
Okay, right.
And then And then sometimes the ad agency says, we need custom music. We need new music. So
Okay.
then the music house calls. They go, well, let's see what kind of music it is. Okay, we'll call Josh and we'll call these other 5 composers. And then we all get usually they send you the commercial without music and maybe a copy with their track they like or not necessarily. And then they say, can you get us an idea by, Tuesday or whatever? And you just have to write something and
I see. And so the music house for them, it's just important to have as much as possible.
music on hand, but also contacts with composers who they can call and say, can you write something on this? And, and since the deadlines are short, there's a lot of people who aren't available quickly. I can't write it I'm busy the next 2 days. I can't do it. So
is there a certain style you're known for?
I mean, definitely guitar, anything with guitar, so I've done a lot of sort of swaggering, heavy stuff, like a lot of car commercials and alcohol, they'll have like, some rock thing. And but then also like more acoustic, folky or indie acoustic, indie folk kind of stuff. And, but then you kind of have to be, I've done like some pop and electronic stuff because you just kind of have to be versatile to stay busy, because there's so many different types of things they need,
Is there like a group of people that are the ones everybody goes to and you're part of that group now? Is there like hundreds and thousands of people that
I don't think there's thousands. There's probably hundreds, but I'm definitely in the
top.
I mean, I don't know if it's hard to know because you don't always know who else they're calling and who's winning and, but I mean, I definitely work with a lot of the big music houses and feel like, I'm like one of the guys who does it, but there's a lot of them, but
right. How do you keep your chops up? I mean,
well, I mean, for commercials, you just, because I'm always doing it, you just, and you start to like, you learn the tricks of like how to score a moment, here to like, it's got to hit. Yeah. When the guy makes that space, you got to have something happen in the music and the timing of it and stuff. So
keep your chops up.
Yeah. Keep your chops up.
Yeah.
Besides music, what else is up in life? What's your like your daily life besides it's just only work and family?
Kids. Yeah.
Do you work out? Do you train?
I exercise. I mean, I used to work out a lot before kids, and then it just, it's so hard to fit it into the day, but I'm getting back to it. I'm like, definitely the last year or something, I've been exercising a lot more and meditating and just trying to take care of myself. You really, with kids too, it's like, you got to take some time to get your own head together,
For sure,
so,
man. Especially with stuff you're doing, you have to focus on all the time,
Yeah. Yeah. And
so meditation, that's cool.
Yeah. Meditate every day. And my kids are great kids, but they're two intense personalities. They're both.
You're so mellow.
Yeah.
You're so chill. It's like they're
Yeah, they're definitely a handful. So, I have to be ready, be on,
They probably made you more mellow, more chill because you have to balance it all.
To react. Yeah. Because that's one thing you definitely learn too is the calmer you stay, the better to like, when they're freaking out, you got to stay calm. If you freak out too, it never helps. It just makes it worse, Yeah.
But yeah, it is important to make time for yourself for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you a coffee guy in the morning?
Yeah. I've tried to get off it a few times, but I don't know. I keep hearing how it's good for you or it's not bad for you. So
Dirk
I'm like,
talk about it because you're back on. You were off for a while though too.
I'm on it, man. It makes me feel good. I like it.
Yeah. It's not for everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, if that's your vice, I mean, like,
it ain't shit.
Yeah. And if I can stop at any time.
I just saw somebody say caffeine was good for depression and stuff like that too.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
You don't know because you're on coffee. You don't know if you're depressed or not.
Yeah. It's supposed to have brain benefits and stuff.
Dude.
And I mean,
I'm sure there's pluses and minuses. Just balance it out.
Do you have any major regrets in your life?
I mean, if I wish I could go back and I probably would be more outgoing and friendly. If I could go back like to the 90s when Shift was doing stuff, I was just like so shy and like,
I think people had a misconception because you were shy. They thought it came off a certain way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely kind of had I feel like, I don't know, but I would get little inklings that people kind of thought I was maybe full of myself or stuck up or something, I mean, but it really was just like, I'm just like awkward and shy and, socially awkward and like, and then it's like you're walking through the crowd and you feel like the people know, they're at our show. Do they know? It's just like I could see how it came off the wrong way. But if I definitely would, I just didn't hang out a lot too. I hung out with a few friends, but like, there was just a lot of back then where I'd be like, I'm just going to go home and, watch TV or whatever, just like not go out and do stuff, like that's just something I kind of feel like I might have missed some good times, over the years, but
just hanging out with people and getting out there. Yeah. And
the other thing I would say is I wish back being in the shift days, if I could have had the work ethic for writing music that I do now. Because now with these quick turnarounds, you can't question you just got to write something. Just always write. And I read, so many people who are artists just say, like that thing of like waiting for inspiration. They're like, waiting for inspiration is for amateurs. Like professionals just get to work. But back in those days, like a lot of people, you just waited till you had a good idea.
Right.
And I'm always like, I should have just been writing tons of songs, like write 50 songs for the record and then pick the best ones. But we were more like, okay, we got 12 songs. We're ready to go, like.
I always tripped out. Like Rancid had 60 to 70 songs for this record and they picked these.
Yeah.
We do the same thing, like 10 to 12 to 13, maybe a bonus track for a Japan B-side or something.
Right.
But other bands, we were like 20, 30. It's crazy, bro.
I love that. I listened to the audiobook of Bruce Springsteen's, his new book, his autobiography. And he just was, he would like write whole records, toss it out, write another record the record. No, I don't like it. Wow. Do it again. Like just that level of like, I mean, that's crazy, but like just that sort of like serious work ethic. Like it's got to be perfect. It's got to be exactly what I want it to be, I mean, you could certainly take that too far, but but I just wish, I think, looking back, it's like I wish I had just taken it more seriously, like a job, like when you especially once you got a record deal, it's like you want to have a career, you got to get to work, not just like, I hope, because I think when I was young too, I kind of probably thought, I got a record deal, I'm gonna be, like maybe I am great, sort of like, like you start believing it a little bit, and like, I'm an artist and I'm going to, people are going to recognize how great I am. And it's like, it doesn't always work that way. You got to like prove it. You got to make it happen,
What about like not having really some shift songs get the success you maybe thought they deserved, maybe like on a commercial or something. And now you're writing songs on your own. They're on commercials you're getting paid for. Like that kind of, that's
you
still
slide it in. Like I'm just gonna have this shift flip right in there.
No, but I mean like that, just having that kind of success from your songs that you wrote, that you didn't have with your band. That's interesting too.
Yeah, and I mean that's part of what I feel like what I was just saying about now I get the work ethic, how to just crank it out and like do it, and stop second guessing yourself, like just
actually getting paid for it too,
and getting paid, and I mean that's what I said too. It's like. It's awesome that I get to make a living making music. It's not the way I'd imagined it, but like, hey, I get to play my guitar.
Not from the band. It's so it's so cool to me though.
Yeah,
it's like a different chapter of your life. You're still in that world, a different world, Yeah, I
mean, I, if I was working in a normal, because sometimes I go, I wish I had a normal job with benefits and whatever, and then it's like, but then I don't want to sit in an office and like,
there's no benefits with this, or retirement plan either.
You got to do it yourself, all that stuff.
I know. We have all these people listening have no retirement plan for bands or artists. It's crazy, dude.
There should be something set up, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's Music Cares, there's other stuff like that. I don't know if it does.
No, it's something for real. Like I don't see why not.
All the years you dedicated to music and touring and all that stuff, and then. You kind of on your own after
general, like artist music.
They should really teach. I mean, hopefully, I'll teach my kids. You really got to. People need to understand how saving money for retirement works.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you start when you're young and just put a little money away every month or whatever,
right?
It adds up over your lifetime. Put it
in
the. This is really boring. If anybody's still listening to this podcast
it's true,
at this
though.
point, it's like
you have a relaxing voice. It's very relaxing. Go ahead.
Put money in the stock market, in index funds. You know what I mean? Don't worry about buying individual stocks. I mean, you can do that, but like I just put money in an index fund through Vanguard Investments. I'm self-employed, so you can, it's a tax write-off much more than if it's, like a normal thing. I think it's like $6,500 you can put in your IRA and write it off. But if you're self-employed, it's up to like something like 17% of what you make. So it can be, a lot more that then you get the tax benefits. You don't have to pay taxes on that money you put in there.
It's interesting.
It adds up, people should be teaching young people about this. It's hard to, when you're
Especially
20,
the
you're
music
just like,
biz too, though.
Especially, yeah.
I mean, when you're 20, you're like, I'm going to be rich, or I'm
Yeah.
never going to be old, or, like
Right.
you feel like it's never going to matter.
The first time I came back from Japan, I had the most money I ever made in my life and had in cash. And I was with Moon at the time as my girlfriend, and she's really smart with money. She's like, you should give me that. I'm like, dude, this is so much money. Like, I'm going to go buy whatever with it. She's like, no, I'm going to put in a CD for you. Watch. And then she took all that money and put it in a CD.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, how many years later. It's worth crazy money. She told me the other day how much I had in there. Now I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome.
From just trusting her and giving it to her, and she
Right.
put it in there. And now it's like throughout the years.
Yeah.
But I would have never thought about doing that myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
just spent
yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
But it's truly important. Like, just invest. Well, I mean, back then, you weren't sure how long the band would last or what you'd be doing this
Right.
many years later. To take that's a lot of money just to like put it somewhere and know what the fuck a CD
and
is.
Just
Yeah.
let it sit.
I'm so happy I did it though. But it is smart for people listening, for bands starting out
Especially
and all that.
when you're young,
Yeah.
You just don't believe you're ever going to get old.
Mm-hmm.
I need an IRA, none of that stuff. Yeah.
But it happmes.
It actually does happen.
It just it creeps up on you.
Yep.
Are you an optimist or pessimist?
I mean, I'm probably a realist. I'm more of a pessimist.
Okay.
I'm a realist. I tend to think I assume the worst, so I'll be pleasantly surprised if something good happens. You know what I mean? I tend to, but at the same time, I do have that thing where I kind of go, I trust things are going to work out.
Yeah.
I don't, stress too much about that kind of, whether my life's going to work out or whatever. But
Well, you always believed in yourself, it seems.
yeah, I'd say so.
You never
I
gave
had a
up on the
drive.
music.
I always had a drive to do what I want to do, kind of, when I was, with the band. I mean, we used to, just like, we were dedicated. I mean, I said I didn't have the work ethic, but that was just in the songwriting. I think I
Yeah.
should have spent more time, but like, we were making flyers. Brandon and I would go to the copy shop and make flyers and then handwrite our mailing list, every
Damn.
name on the back of it, and mail it out. I mean, just like, and go to every store and put it flyers and all that kind of stuff, which
That's
was
work
just
ethic right there,
fun.
man.
But yeah, it was like, to me, it was fun. Promoting the band was like awesome. It was like
Yeah.
so cool to have something to talk to people about too. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to go to a show anyway. I might as well have flyers to hand out and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, that's
But-
that's work ethic though, for sure.
yeah,
Just pushing yourself, believing in yourself.
for sure.
So that's kind of optimism and pessimism, I guess.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, how long have you been in Sepultura now?
It's been over. I don't know. So I joined like '98.
That's crazy.
1998. Yeah,
That's crazy.
When I left New York.
That's amazing.
It's crazy, man.
It's been some years.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's
Still the new guy.
like what happened to
Yeah, I
Derek.
know.
That new guy.
I mean, be like, what happened to Derek Green? Oh, he's in Brazil and Sepultura. Like, what?
Right.
So cool though, man. And then the
awesome.
first time seeing you, there was really no YouTube back then. Whenever the first time I saw a picture of something of you on stage with them, I was like, oh wow, man.
How did you know? Like, did you know you could sing like that? Because you didn't sing
No,
with
I
that
didn't
style
sing like that
before.
style. I really, it became something that I had to really work myself into. You
Yeah.
know, and I had a good vocal coach, and then just kind of developing where it's that style where it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it happened just from playing shows with them and writing.
Yeah.
And just working with certain producers, it just developed over time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you worked with a coach, so you can. I mean,
Yeah.
touring like singing like that is like.
Yeah, I definitely.
It's
had
crazy,
to have a
dude.
coach the first tour and just apply everything that I learned from that till now.
Yeah.
It's really worked, and on every level where I've never had to cancel a show.
Yeah.
Ever.
Never.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Wow, Derek, that's amazing,
It's
man.
pretty insane to think about, even with like food poisoning, but not because of my voice, but almost, because of like food poisoning, but still like, being on stage, like, oh my God, I'm going to puke and
Shit myself.
shit my pants at the same time.
But you never blew your voice singing.
No.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
That's awesome.
Close to it. I mean, after doing like 16 shows in a row, like it was just like, that's the limit.
I mean, the warm-ups are
Right.
no joke. That shit's
yeah,
real, man.
warm-ups and warm down.
Yeah.
And again, like staying away from alcohol before shows, and definitely after, it helps a lot.
And sleep is really important.
Sleep and just all those different things I was really disciplined on, and
Right.
I still am on tour, just kind of.
And the coach taught you how to like do
push
that type
air.
of voice without
Yeah.
ripping your throat up.
Ripping
Yeah.
your throat and not using any type of sprays to
Right.
coat it, because you'll never really know if there is a problem.
Right,
and,
right.
You get addicted to those things. Like, I don't have it. I can't
Yeah,
sing.
yeah.
But you used to use the sprays?
No, I remember I started to, and then
Singer
I
spray.
remember- Yeah, and they're like, I wouldn't advise you using that.
Right,
Like,
right.
They're just like, don't get hooked on it, because they were like, other people we know got hooked,
Right.
and you can really do some damage. But yeah, it's a technique of just being able to push that air from the diaphragm and relaxing
that's how you do it.
your vocals,
Yeah.
as much as your vocal cords as much as possible. And
Right.
working with really good producers that would be like, in the studio, like, I'm hearing you doing the witch voice, it's like coming out like that.
Right.
And they're like, don't do that.
Right.
They're like, relax, push that air.
Right. That's awesome, man.
It's interesting because it is a tool.
Oh yeah, you have to respect that tool.
I'm going to start warming up soon for this tour.
Do
I'm
it.
going to have to. I do 2 sets a night with
Oh,
Hazy
yeah.
Street
Oh, wow.
and
I
H2O.
mean,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I'm not in
12 shows in a row.
You definitely need to do it, and
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
start
do it.
warming up. A couple weeks before we go on tour by myself at home, just like
Yeah, I'm going to do
screaming
that.
my head off, doing a full set. And just it's weird, but it really helps. Going through
awesome.
the set and just like timing it and just really getting comfortable.
Yeah.
It never measures up to a real show,
Right.
but it definitely helps. Yeah.
Did you ever blow your voice on tour?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Ah.
Yeah, because especially when you're playing the smaller shows and you can't hear anything.
Worse,
and
and
you're
you
trying
push
to
harder?
Yeah.
This is
Brutal.
very, very true. And then
Yeah.
and the game helper was having in-ears. Like I just got introduced to like in the past few years, and it's game changer.
That's
Like
awesome.
it definitely stopped pushing so much where it was just like, unnecessarily.
Right.
It's like, God damn.
It doesn't bother you having stuff hanging from your ears and stuff? And,
Not at all.
Okay.
Now it's like it would be impossible to do a show without it. It seems.
okay.
Like with monitors, I remember something happened. I had to pull them off, and I was like, "Oh my God,
Right.
it's so loud!"
Right.
And I was like, "I can't hear anything. I mean, it's super loud." And I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, because I used to, even earplugs, because earplugs you can hear a little bit better.
Yeah.
But then I used to hate that feeling of you can't tell what's going on, sort of. It's
Yeah.
like, and you can't hear the crowd.
For the
Like,
power,
It just
yeah.
starts to feel like
You just have to
weird.
get
But
really
yeah.
used to it, because I hated it too, and I was like, "I'm not using these.
Yeah.
I'm old school."
Yeah.
But once you start using them, it's like a studio in your ear, and you're just like adjusting, like, "Oh, I need that a little. I just
Right.
need kick, snare, and
Right.
a little guitar."
Yeah.
And then it's just so clear.
Yeah.
And you can hear the tone of your voice.
Yeah.
Especially if you're singing, you're just
Totally.
like, "Oh, yeah."
Well,
there's
yeah,
that
that
note.
you can tell it, right? I remember singing. You're like, you think you're in tune, and
Yeah.
then later you're like, here, you play, recording of it. You're like, oh my God,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just was I was in the wrong key for that, like half the song,
Yeah, I've heard stuff for myself. I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God," and timing
Yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
then you can have the click that I can hear the drummer, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm
right.
on time." Like not, and they're like, "Man, I hear you're
Yeah.
really on time."
Yeah.
Before it'd be a little laid back or
Yeah, yeah.
a little in front, but.
And you guys are playing big metal. I mean, you're competing with bands that just have their whole.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of metal bands really have that, like, playback. They got other guitars and they got stuff, and it's just like
true.
it sounds
Some bands,
huge.
yeah,
Like
yeah. That was a whole nother introduction of it. Yeah, the whole playback. Like I didn't realize there were some bands have like crazy guitar tracks running
Yeah.
through. We try to just have the minimum
Damn.
of like orchestra type stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because there's some songs you got to have.
Yeah.
Can't have all the drums and everything.
Right.
The tribal.
Do you ever have
drums.
to cancel the show because of your voice?
I don't remember if I ever did, but I definitely sang some where I was like, I sound like shit. Like I can't hit the notes. Like I'm just, And I remember having this thing during Big Collapse where there was I kept losing my voice at the big shows, like at the most when there's people coming to see us or something.
Damn.
And I started thinking, I'm like, this is psychological.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Totally.
yeah, I'm like, I get it in my head. Don't lose your voice for the show, and then suddenly, like, here it is. Oh, now it's here it comes. Now I can't sing. And then it's like,
Oh, man, anxiety.
I hate all
Yeah.
that parts of the band stuff, losing all that stress.
yeah,
Yeah.
Even when you're saying like texting your friends, come have a show, come down. Just thinking about that gives me anxiety. Having to like try to get all your friends to come see you and all that shit.
yeah,
I feel like you're annoying there, but it's like you just want to know you're playing and come
Yeah.
support.
I know
And
you're at home comfortable, but
yeah,
then I'm on. This is my new project. Come check this one out.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
shout out to all the friends who definitely did support though.
definitely
Came to
big
all your
shout.
shows and
For sure.
checked all your music and actually bought it and
It makes
paid for a
big
ticket.
deal, man. It's a big deal.
I like to support your friends thing that people ask me on the guest list, and that's how you support your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't miss all that stuff too, like just dealing with that and labels and booking agents and business managers, and that's the worst part of being in the band is all the business aspect of it. You know, that's the shit that really bothered us.
Yeah.
Especially when we started getting different agents, and then we signed to a major dealing with all the same stuff he did, and just all the extra stress that has nothing to do with the music and the band and the family unit of the band. You know,
It can be boring, but I definitely, advise people to be knowledgeable about it, to really, and if they're not, then to find somebody that you trust that is knowledgeable about it, because it's important.
Yeah.
It's really important.
I mean, that's why, like, shout out to Vaughn and Kenny.
Shout out to Vaughn and Kenny.
Are they still called Strong Management?
I think they changed the name to
the
something.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Just
But we named that. H2O named that.
oh, really?
Oh, yeah?
Because Vaughn was a photographer, and he came to see us play a bunch of times. Then we started bringing him on the road to take photos, and he started doing merch. Then he became our tour manager, and we said, "You're going to be our manager." Then he became our manager.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
That's
him. I
awesome.
think him and Kenny were both in law school or something like that. And they kind
Right,
of quit it for music.
Yeah, because I think Vaughn was like working in like finance.
Yeah.
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 Smart dude. Like,
Yeah,
he's
smart.
like doing like.
And they took a chance with us, and then from there they went to like Scarhead, Murphy's Law, Crown of Thorns,
Yeah.
and then more bands, and they started getting more and more, and like.
And now they're getting Grammys and Kill Switch Engage
know,
and
dude.
platinum records and
It's
stuff.
incredible, man.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Couldn't
Shout out to
happen.
Vaughn and Kenny. Yeah, man.
I'm so happy for them that they're just killing it.
Yeah, I would have to say too, they are the best part of H2O's career for sure. People that we worked with, and I'm still friends with them and talk to them a lot, and
Yeah.
yeah, man, it says a lot about
Good
them.
dudes.
I'm stoked for
cool.
them. Yeah, man.
Very cool.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are both still doing music too. Talking about me not doing bands anymore.
Not a level of Sepultura, but yeah, I'm getting back.
Come on, man.
We're playing shows. I'm excited to get back. We're going to Europe 3 times this year. That's exciting.
awesome.
It's been 3 years. But we were just hanging so hard during the pandemic, and then he started going on tour, and he's been going hard since everything opened up. Like, and just seeing him on stage and in his element, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That part that was
It's killer,
missing
man.
from us,
Yeah.
seeing you out there. It's just weird seeing you like the big gentle giant on stage with your voice, and
It's definitely a transformation.
it is. Man.
I don't know what happens, man. I drink my super sauce.
But that was something. It's a whole different part of you. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, it happens. I think,
Yeah.
the music will do that.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing. Well, Josh, thank you for
Awesome.
being here, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having
Thanks
me.
for hanging, dude.
It's been so many years.
So
man.
many years.
I
We've been
know.
talking about doing this for such a long time too.
I know. I'm hard to book. I'm harder than.
Well, now I understand why.
Yeah, right.
You got the kids and everything you're doing. It's awesome. So stoked for you though. It's awesome. You
Thanks,
like
man.
doing what you love still
Yeah.
in your own way.
I'm so psyched for you doing this too, man.
Thank you,
seems
man.
like it's really doing, getting some great guests on here, doing a lot of stuff, man. It's
Yeah,
good.
I'm definitely stoked. I started this before the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Jamie Jost, who sent me this Focusrite, who told me I should start a podcast.
All right.
He was the one pushing me to start a podcast.
Jamie.
I haven't shut him out in a while, but he sent me this Focusrite, and I still use it for 4 years straight.
Good guy, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, thank you, Josh.
I remember Shift playing. We played with Jost 14 out at the Tune In New Haven a
Tune
few
In,
times.
woo! Josh, we used to put the shows on at the skate park out there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Jester.
Love Josta, man.
Yeah.
I just saw her playing a show with him too. I saw it get announced today.
He's
Nice.
got quite a mullet.
Oh, I saw
And
that,
the
man.
And the Molokai beard. It's,
Yeah.
it's such
Nice.
an amazing combo. I love it.
Yeah, I just saw it today. We're playing a show with them in Sick of It All in Europe, August 6th or something. Ghost Inside, a bunch of bands.
Awesome.
A festival, yeah.
Nice.
I love crossing paths with our friends in Europe. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's
You know what I
very,
mean?
very. I love it. Yeah.
See them at the catering, chilling. What about social media? Can people find you? Are you on there? You talking to people?
Instagram, Josh Loucka on Instagram.
You check your DMs. You talk to people.
Sure. Yeah.
You spend a lot of time on it or not? It's hopping in. And hop
I
out?
try not to.
Yeah.
I just kind
Good for
of
you.
hop on
Yeah.
here and there. But yeah, I find the more it really, especially now, everything's got the reels and the videos, and you get like sucked into a. And there's another one.
Yo,
it's just like
true, dude.
it's
Scrolling.
addictive. It's
And
like
another one.
And another one.
And another one.
and some
See
of
that-
them are like, why are they showing me this? But then you're still watching it, and you're like, it just like I don't know. It feels like a
gotcha.
real. It's a time waster. I got a lot of stuff I want to do.
No,
I
you
wanna-
do. You seem like you're a busy person
Yeah.
in real life off the interweb.
Yeah. I was on Twitter. I was really political, just like following politics. And I just,
Yeah.
I deleted it on my phone, and I'm so much happier. Just
Wow.
like, because you just get sucked into these dramas, and You know,
There's
it's
rabbit
just
holes of all kinds of shit on there.
There's always
man.
something to get angry about on there.
Especially
you know?
the past couple of years when we were stuck really not doing nothing. It was
Yeah.
like, and the president was on there saying shit. It was just like every day. It was like, you couldn't escape it, man.
Well, it's hard when, you know, not to get political, but when Trump was president,
Yeah,
it felt like I need to be up to the minute. Like, what crazy thing is happening today? Like, what
Every day
unbelievable,
Yeah.
mind-blowingly ridiculous thing is happening today? You know? So you start, and then I'm like addicted to that. Like,
Right.
oh, what's
Yeah.
going, you know, looking at first thing in the morning, like,
Right.
what's going on today?
It's
You
like,
know?
what
like,
happened?
yeah.
it wasn't even, it was like a reality show. It was unreal, man. The whole
Yeah.
thing. SNL skits every day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Stuff that they made fun of on SNL was actually
It's just
real
so
stuff.
easy.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy,
It-
bro.
I'm just hoping it doesn't happen again.
I like the world when the presidents weren't on social media. I mean, even the world
Yeah.
before social media, we're lucky we had that growing up.
Right.
But like, just living every day and knowing like you voted who you voted for, you paid your taxes, you did everything you had to do in society as a human, as a a citizen of this country, right? But then when everything happened with the internet, then you start seeing this stuff that you wouldn't even think about. Or, I don't know, just there was too much information about shit that didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like shit talking and all that shit with Russia, all that shit, bro.
Yeah.
We got a whole episode about that.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
just so much
Whole
to like
nother
take in, you know? It's like
Yeah.
it was affecting everybody's lives, you know?
It just creating divisions that don't need to be
Totally.
there. People get so wrapped up in these little niche
Yeah.
issues. It's like, why are you so mad about this one little thing? Like,
I know.
we're all basically the same, you know, like we're fighting over nonsense, you know.
Oh man, that's why luckily we have music. We can escape it and play go on tour and play music, write songs about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Listen to music, hang out with your family.
and music's
stare at your
essential, man. It's
phone.
essential to everybody, man.
No, absolutely.
It's a powerful,
Sure.
important thing.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank
me.
you, Derek.
Yeah, good
Any
to
more
see you
questions
guys.
for this young man?
I think those are all my questions.
How old are you now?
No.
47.
Damn, you're getting up there with
I
us.
know.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Enjoy those 40s.
Still young, though.
Well, I just heard someone said 50 is the old age of youth or the youth of old age. So
Okay.
we're like right at that point where we're, still
Yeah.
kind of in our youth, you know? Still
Nah.
Kinda.
Sort of.
I don't know. I mean,
Sorta.
we're in our
Youth-ish.
50s. I don't feel old in my 50s, dude. I'm 50. I'm about to be 53.
I think
Yeah,
if you
you
take
are.
care of yourself,
Totally,
you know,
man.
you can still be vital. You see, like, I was just looking All in the Family. I used to watch when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Dude, Archie Bunker was like, the actor was like 47, my age when they were
Wow.
doing that show, and it's
Wow.
like, just like people used to look like they were old,
Way old,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
So,
Yeah, and people are living longer now, and there's a lot of things different
Yeah.
since
So
our.
Rob Reiner, not that long ago, and he looked great.
oh yeah, good for him.
Really shocking.
I mean, it's different generation, different times, and our parents and our grandparents and all that, and how people look and how they take care of themselves.
Yeah,
For sure.
You know what I mean?
We know a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Cool.
We know a lot more about Josh though today, so thank you, Josh. It's a
All
good way
right.
to end it, right?
Yes,
Yeah, man.
sir.
I'm
Awesome.
not calling you Josh Shifty anymore though. You're a real person with a real name. So, thank you, bro.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Back in the pod with Josh. Happy birthday, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience too. There's a bunch of podcasts I did last year that I've been calling people and having like a little recap call just because they've been waiting for so long. I think we did ours February 2nd, 2023.
Whoa.
I know it's crazy because I just been like banking all these freaking podcasts just so I can travel and not stress about like missing. My whole thing is not ever missing a Monday so I can stay consistent. So like I have like everything's coming out this year though. I think yours and one more before you's coming out this month, and then I'm back on track. But
Great.
how's life been since then? How you been doing, man?
Good. It's not too different. I mean, it's kind of crazy. That was over a year ago. That feels like 6 months ago, maybe.
I know.
But time is flying.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Let's see. I think when we spoke before, I was talking about the soundtrack to that movie I did, Mystery Spot.
Yep.
And that's up on Spotify and iTunes, and I forget all of them now. And then I'm actually just working on getting almost done with the score for another film by the same director. His name is Mel House. So yeah, the first one was Mystery Spot, and this one is called In Betweening.
Awesome, man.
It's a pretty cool thing. It's got a pretty cool. I think I can say it because he's announced it already on his Instagram and stuff. But Angelo from Fishbone is actually in the movie.
Oh,
So-
wow. That is awesome, dude.
So that's pretty cool. I'm psyched to be working on something with him involved. So
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And how's family? How's dad life?
It's good. It's the same. My kids are in let's see, second grade and kindergarten, and they're just my son is huge into skateboarding right now.
Oh,
So
nice.
he's getting really good. I mean, he's better than me at this point. He's 6.5, and he's like ripping around. I mean, I can't believe how he actually. The first time he stood on the board, I was like, this kid, like, he looked like he already knew what he was doing. He just has good balance, I think.
Yeah.
So plus he's got a good sort of daredevil, but not too crazy kind of approach to it.
Yeah.
He'll try stuff, but he's not like, doing things that are totally insane. So, so I think he's got the right mentality for it. So
You taking them to skate parks and stuff?
yes, there's actually a really nice skate park in South Pasadena where I live. So we go there, and there's a couple others nearby too. So we'll kind of after school
Is it
head there.
inspiring you to skate as well?
Not really. I mean, it kind of inspires me, and then my better angels go, well, yeah, maybe just skip it. 'Cause I skated when I was a teenager, but I was not very good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I've heard a few stories about dads trying to drop in on a ramp and just breaking a hip or something. So I don't know. I've skated around a little bit on his board, but I'm not. I'm gonna keep it mellow.
That's so cool. Is he like just a street skater?
Yeah, he likes doing a lot of that stuff. But there's the park right here has some ramps and like
wow.
I guess it's a quarter pipe and stuff. So yeah, so he likes all that stuff. So
that's so cool, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then what about your daughter?
And she's just started skateboarding a little bit. I think she
cool.
just kept hearing about how much fun my son was having. So she's doing that a little bit, and she also does some horseback riding. There's like
wow.
There's a place up in sort of Pasadena, Altadena area that has it's sort of like a stable where you take lessons, but then you help like tack up the horses and clean the stalls. So it's not like highfalutin horseback riding. It's a little more like, down and dirty style. So, and she loves that. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what they're into.
I thought I was going into maybe at the Judge Youth of Today 7 Second shows last weekend. It was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
Did you know?
Yeah, I was thinking about hitting that, and then I had some work going on, and I ended up missing it. Was it?
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I ran into Walter was there. I saw yeah, it was cool, man. Scott Weingart, a bunch of people. It was so many people pulled up I was at the Judge 7 Second show Friday, which was pretty amazing, man. But I went to Coachella Saturday just for the day. That was a brutal mission I'll never do again, man. It was. Right. I never been to Coachella before. It was crazy, dude.
I went once, I think, 15 years ago, and was like, yeah, I don't think I need to do that again.
I know, dude. I know I'm supposed to take my son to this Sick World show in Vegas in a couple weeks, but I might have to tap out. I told him he can just go with his friends. It's just now I have to go to Vegas and like be in a hot parking lot all day watching Slipknot and all these bands. I'm like, dude,
right.
Unless I'm playing it, man, I don't think I could be at these festivals anymore. It's just so draining. I feel so old. It's a very young, I don't know, man. It's just it was interesting. Yeah. People watching, No Doubt was amazing. Saw some cool bands, but like I don't know, it was just. I don't know. What about music for you, like in the band or anything, like stuff like that, or writing songs? Or I know you do the soundtrack stuff, but
yeah, I haven't been. I'm still kind of just not inspired to do that. I basically, I still am doing a lot of music for commercials, scoring commercials, so that takes up a lot of my time. And then I'm kind of the film stuff has sort of been like has taken the place of what being in a band used to be, where it's like that's more creative and like more pure creative outlet. Because commercials, you kind of, they're pretty specific about what they want. So sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's something you like, but sometimes you just have to do what they're looking for. So it's not the same kind of creativity. But the movie is a little, this stuff, the film scoring is a little bit more like I get to really, just go for it and be creative and try to come up with cool sounds and cool ideas. And so that's kind of that outlet. I mean, every once in a while I'll go, oh yeah, I kind of wish I could get up on stage. But I also I'm a perfectionist. I mean, we actually got, I think a couple times since our last talk, Shift got asked to do reunion shows in New York.
Oh wow.
There's someone has asked us a couple times on a couple different shows, and I like every time I get the email, I'm like, yeah, maybe. But then I kind of like call everybody else, and everybody's like, well, everybody's kind of spread out, and some people
Yeah.
haven't been playing in bands for a long time, myself included. And it's sort of like, we're all kind of like, if we were going to do it, we would want it to be really good,
Yeah.
not sound like a bunch of people who haven't played together in a long time.
Yeah.
So the like rehearsing and all that is probably, it just would be hard or not realistic at this point for us. So
Yeah. Do you ever run into Sam out here?
I do. I mean, I used to hang out with her a lot, and then kind of, just have not as much lately. And then, with my kids, like just like kind of like,
Yeah.
I've been meaning to catch up with her forever.
Have you been to any shows or anything since we talked, or concerts or anything?
I'm sure I did. My friend had an extra ticket to Tool a couple months ago.
Oh, wow.
At the Staples Center. I'm not a huge fan, but
Me
I mean,
either.
they are awesome live.
I'm sure.
Really impressive. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
So you're just living, man. You're living and working and having a family and stuff.
Yep.
How's your health? How's your exercise? What's your routines right now?
Good. Since kids, I definitely, I used to go to the gym 5-6 times a week, and I was really into it. And then I just, ever since kids, it's just harder to squeeze it into the day, but, the last year or maybe a little more, I've kind of gotten back into it more, hitting the gym, or at least doing workouts in my, in the house, in my office or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in the morning, I tend to get up super early, so I like to work a little and then do some kind of exercise before I start the day, if possible. So
Yeah, that's awesome. You're a coffee guy too,
before
right?
my kids wake up. Yeah, I drink coffee. I'm trying to cut it back a little bit, but
it's hard.
But yeah, especially early morning. Yeah, I'll have some coffee.
How early do you wake up? Like 5 a.m?
Yeah, sometimes earlier. Because to be honest,
Dang.
my son still wakes up at 5:30 some days, 6 if I'm lucky, and he wants he wants to play or do something with me the second he wakes up.
Of course.
So I like to try to get a little work done. So sometimes I'm up at 4 or something, like just
Wow.
get an hour and a half in or something before, maybe an hour of work and a half hour working out before he wakes up.
Dang. You go to bed super early?
Yeah, then we go to bed early. I my wife and I kind of pretty soon after the kids go to sleep, we're like, all right, let's go to sleep.
It's draining, man, especially having 2. I know just having 1 was crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm just getting out of the really tough part. There was that stretch because they're close in age. They're like a year and a half apart. So
Yeah.
there was a few years there where it was it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Just basically having 2 toddlers.
Do you want to have any
And then
more
the
kids?
pandemic during.
Oh yeah.
Nah, we're done. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Oh, the pandemic. Yeah, that must have been crazy too. 2 kids. Yeah.
Yeah. When we early on in the pandemic, we went to a beach. My wife and 2 kids, they were toddlers, and it was one of those things where there was this older couple walking by, like 60 something, and they didn't think we could hear them, but I heard them go, well, it could be worse. We could have 2 toddlers.
Oh.
like they were lamenting, having to deal with the pandemic and all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, it could be worse. We could be like those sorry suckers over there.
My God. That's so good.
But like everybody says, it was great. Ended up ultimately, it was awesome because we got to spend so much more time with them in that part of their life than we would have. They would have been in preschool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
that was a crazy time. I remember my son graduated online, and it was such a crazy time, man. Yeah. I'm glad we're out of that, back into the crazy. It's still a crazy world, but at least we're out of that. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
Well, good, man. Well, have a great birthday today. How old are you today? Can you say?
I don't like to say it because it sounds terrible.
Oh yeah, you're not even 50. You're not even 50 yet, bro. There's no way you're.
I'm 50. Not 50. No.
Oh, you're chilling. You're chilling.
Yeah.
You're in your 40s still, which is so good. That's amazing, dude. I just turned 54 last week, but I feel good. It's just a number, man.
Congrats. Happy birthday.
Thank you. We got that young spirit, man. I don't know, especially having kids.
It's not like it used to be, when we were kids, if you were 50, that meant you were pretty old. But
totally.
It's a different world.
I also think about doing what you love, and also even having kids kind of keeps you have to stay young for your kids too, to keep up with them and all that stuff, just, I don't know.
For sure.
Well, have a great birthday, man, and thank you for your patience with this episode. I'm psyched that at this point, everybody's heard the episode. Hope they loved it. Great catching up with you and Derek, and hopefully I'll see you soon, brother.
Sounds good, man.
All right, bro. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Later. Bye.
I always ask my guests if they have any regrets. I personally don't have any regrets. Even when it comes to my tattoos, I have the silliest tattoos. Even my ET on my leg, it's still a childhood memory for me, and I love it. I've had tattoos on top of tattoos strictly because I wanted more tattoos. I started getting tattoos when I was 18. I'm 52 now, and I can't stop. I've had laser treatment before on something on my arm. It's 4 tattoos on top of each other. And that experience at that place was pretty fast. It was pretty cold. It was in and out, swipe the credit card. Don't really tell me much. Didn't give me much details or anything was going to happen. So I never went back. So as of most recently, I'm so lucky enough to have had 2 sessions at Removery Tattoo Removal. My tattoo on my arm that looks like a big black blob is now super light. I've had 2 sessions. I have a long road ahead of me. None of this stuff happens overnight. You cannot take a tattoo up in one sitting. You have to be patient. And it's painful. They ice you up. It's super fast. To me, it felt like a bunch of rubber bands. But what's more painful than that is looking at something on your body that you think you're stuck with for the rest of your life. That sucks. But now for me, I'm really happy I started this journey. I'm slowly going to get this tattoo removed. I never thought in a million years I have any kind of real estate on my arm. I don't even know what I want, but it's exciting. I'm so honored to announce that One Life One Chance podcast is now with Removery. I have a code. Use TobyH20 and get $100 off your first session. Call 866-934-4570 or go to Removery.com. One of the most experienced tattoo removal companies in the world. Over 600,000 removal treatments done. 100 locations. US, Canada, and Australia. State-of-the-art Pico-Way laser technology. Cryo-technology to reduce any discomfort. This is so exciting for me because all I do in these podcasts is talk about tattoos. From day one, if you've been listening to this podcast, we talk about tattoos, talk about getting removed, talk about getting covered up. So this is such a perfect fit for me. Once again, go to Removery.com or call 866-934-4570. Use my code TobyH20 and get $100 off. These guys are located everywhere. Try it out.